The woman sitting on the cold sidewalk outside the Shoppers Drug Mart on Dundas Street did not look up when people walked past her. She had learned, somewhere along the way, that looking up only made things worse. Nadia almost missed her. She was pulling her suitcase through the slush, still wearing the blazer she had put on in Vancouver 14 hours earlier, her flight delayed twice and her patience worn down to a thin wire. 14 years, that was how long she had been gone. 14 years of building something from nothing in British Columbia, of early mornings and late nights, and sending money home every single month without fail. She had not missed one transfer, not one. But the woman on the sidewalk had grey locks now. Nadia's mother used to have the most beautiful dark locks, twisted tight and pinned up on Sundays for church. The woman on the sidewalk wore hers loose and tangled, spilling over a coat that was too thin for February in Toronto. Nadia stopped walking. The suitcase handle slipped from her hand and hit the wet pavement, and she did not notice. She stood there in the middle of the sidewalk with people moving around her, some of them annoyed, some of them not even looking, and she stared at the woman huddled against the brick wall with a paper coffee cup in front of her and 3 loonies inside it. She said one word. "Mama." The woman looked up, and Nadia's whole body went cold in a way that had nothing to do with the February wind. It had started 16 years ago when Nadia was 22 and freshly graduated, and had nothing but a business degree from Ryerson and a hunger she could not quite name. Toronto was expensive and the job market was hard, and her older brother Marcus kept saying, give it time the way people say things when they do not know what else to say. Her mother, Mama Lorette, worked at the dry cleaner on Kingston Road, had worked there for 20 years. She came home smelling of steam and chemicals, and she never complained, not once. And that was the thing that eventually broke something open in Nadia's chest and made her say yes when the opportunity in Vancouver came. It was a management position at a logistics company, entry level, but with a path, real money, eventually, enough to do something meaningful. Go, Mama Lorette told her. You think I didn't work my whole life so you could stay here and be small? Nadia had cried at the airport. Mama Lorette had not. She stood straight and held Nadia's face in both hands and said, "Send me pictures of the mountains." Marcus was there too, with his wife Claudette. Marcus was 30 at the time, already settled, already a father of 2. He had a house in Scarborough and a steady job at the city. He seemed to Nadia like someone who had already become everything he was going to be. That was not a criticism, it was just a fact. Marcus was stable and Claudette was organized, and between the two of them they had agreed, without anyone really saying it out loud, that they would look after Mama Lorette while Nadia built her life out west. So that was the arrangement. Unspoken, assumed. The kind of thing families do without contracts because they trust each other. Nadia sent money every month. The first few years it was 400, then 6. Then when the promotion came, it became 800 a month, reliable as a utility bill. She called Mama Lorette every Sunday. At first they talked for an hour. Then slowly the calls got shorter. Mama Lorette started sounding tired. Nadia asked if she was sleeping well. She said yes. She asked if she was eating. She said yes. She asked how Marcus and Claudette were treating her. Fine, Mama Lorette always said. Everything is fine. Nadia believed her. Why would she not believe her? Claudette had mentioned once that Mama Lorette had moved into the spare room of their house. Nadia had felt a wave of relief so strong it embarrassed her. Good, she thought. She's not alone. She had even sent Claudette an extra 200 that month with a voice note saying, "Thank you. We are so lucky she has you." Claudette had responded with a heart emoji. The year Nadia turned 34, things in Vancouver had finally genuinely come together. She was a regional director now. She had an apartment with a view of the inlet. She had a savings account that did not make her panic, and a passport full of stamps from work trips, and a quiet kind of satisfaction that she had built the thing she set out to build. She had even been thinking about coming home for good, or at least coming home more. She was tired of the distance, tired of phone calls instead of Sunday dinners. She booked a flight for February. Surprise visit. She wanted to walk through the door and see her mother's face before Mama Lorette had time to put on her company expression. She wanted the real face, the unguarded one. She told Marcus she was coming. He texted back quickly. Good, we need to talk. She had thought that was strange. She had texted, everything okay. He did not reply until the next day. Just come. Nadia did not find her mother at Marcus's house in Scarborough. She found out, standing in the doorway with her suitcase, that Mama Lorette had not lived there in over a year. Marcus looked like a man who had been carrying a weight he no longer knew how to put down. He sat her at the kitchen table. Claudette was not there. Marcus said she was at her sister's, and he poured her tea she did not drink, and he told her. 7 months after Nadia had left for Vancouver, Claudette had suggested that the monthly money should come into their joint account. It was more practical, she said. She could manage the household budget properly. Mama Lorette did not use online banking. It would be simpler. Marcus had agreed. He was working long hours then. He trusted his wife. For years, the money came in, and Claudette managed it, and nobody asked too many questions because the household ran fine, and Mama Lorette said she was comfortable. And that seemed like enough. But Marcus had not known, had genuinely not known, he said, and Nadia watched his face while he said it to see if she believed him, and she did, and that made her feel sorry for him and furious at the same time, that Claudette had been skimming the money. Not all of it, just most of it. Slowly, steadily, over years. New furniture. Claudette's car. A renovation on the back of the house. A trip to Cuba that Marcus had thought they were paying for with savings. Mama Lorette had been given an allowance from her own money. $60 a week. When Nadia heard that number, she had to press her hand flat on the table to steady herself. $60. While she had been sending $800 every month. While she had been congratulating herself on being a good daughter. While she had been sleeping soundly in Vancouver thinking her mother was comfortable. And then, 14 months ago, there had been an argument. Marcus had finally started asking questions about the finances. Claudette had felt cornered. Things were said in that house that could not be unsaid, and in the middle of it all, Claudette had told Mama Lorette that she was a burden and that this was not her home, and that she should find somewhere else to be. Mama Lorette had left that same evening. Marcus had not known she was gone until the next morning. He had looked for her. He had called Nadia. Nadia had been on a work trip to Calgary, her phone on silent during a conference. He had called twice, and she had not answered. And by the time she called back, he had lost his nerve and said only that there had been some tension at home, and that Mama Lorette was staying with a friend from church for a while. He had kept looking. He had not found her. He had told himself she was okay because the alternative was not something he could hold in his body and still function. "Why didn't you tell me?" Nadia said. Her voice was very quiet, the quietest it had ever been. Marcus stared at the table. "I was ashamed," he said. The hospital on Gerrard Street had a waiting room the color of old lemon curd. Nadia sat in a plastic chair for 2 hours while the doctor assessed Mama Lorette, and she did not look at her phone, and she did not speak to anyone. She sat with her hands folded in her lap and thought about every Sunday phone call. Everything is fine. She thought about Mama Lorette standing straight in the airport 16 years ago, not crying, holding her daughter's face. A nurse came and said she could go in. Mama Lorette looked small in the hospital bed. She had been given a warm blanket and a tray of food, and she was sitting up against the pillow with her eyes open. When Nadia walked in, she did not cry. She just looked at her daughter for a long moment, the way you look at something you were not sure you would see again. "You came," she said. "Mama." Nadia sat on the edge of the bed and took her mother's hands. They were cold and chapped, and Nadia held them anyway. "How long? How long were you out there?" Mama Lorette closed her eyes briefly. "Some months." "Which months?" "Since November." "November." 3 months. Her mother had been sleeping outside, or in shelters, or on sidewalks, in a Canadian winter, since November, while Nadia had been sending e-transfers and sleeping in her apartment with the view of the inlet and telling herself she was doing enough. "Why didn't you call me?" Nadia asked, and she knew even as she said it that it was the wrong question. The question that put the weight in the wrong place, but she could not help it. "Mama, you have my number. You have always had my number." Mama Lorette was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Claudette took my phone when I left," and that was when Nadia began to cry. The doctor was a calm woman with small wire glasses and a direct manner that Nadia appreciated because she did not have the patience for gentleness right now. Mild hypothermia, dehydration, some inflammation in the joints that needed monitoring, nothing that could not be treated. Mama Lorette was resilient, the doctor said, in a tone that suggested she had seen many things in that hospital, and this woman's particular kind of resilience had impressed her. How long does she need to stay? Nadia asked. 2 nights, maybe 3. We want to make sure she's stable before discharge. And after discharge, she comes home with me. Whatever you need from me, I'll do it. The doctor looked at her. We can connect you with a social worker tomorrow morning to go over the transition plan. Thank you, Nadia said. She walked back down the lemon-colored hallway and out through the sliding doors into the cold, and she stood on the sidewalk and called her brother. She's okay, she said when he answered. Mama is okay. She's going to be okay. She heard Marcus exhale on the other end of the line, a long, ragged sound like a man letting go of something he had been holding for months. Nadia, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I know, she said. We're going to talk, but not right now. Claudette was not someone Nadia had ever disliked. That was the part she kept coming back to, over the following days, as she sat with her mother in the hospital room, and watched the color come slowly back to Mama Lorette's face. She had liked Claudette. She had liked her practicality, her efficiency, the way she ran her household like a well-maintained engine. She had sent her a heart emoji and thought nothing of it. She called Claudette on the 3rd day. She did it from the hospital parking lot because she did not want her mother to hear. She sat in the rental car with the heat running, and she waited while the phone rang. Claudette answered on the 4th ring. Nadia. Her voice was careful. I'm in Toronto, Nadia said. I found my mother on the sidewalk outside a Shoppers Drug Mart on Dundas. She has been without a home since November. She had no phone. She had no money. I have been sending $800 every month for 12 years, and she has been living on $60 a week for God knows how long before that. Silence. I'm not calling to fight with you, Nadia continued. I'm calling because I need you to understand what you did. My mother stood in the cold and held a cup with 3 loonies in it. 3, that is what 12 years of transfers became in your hands. Nadia, the household expenses. I don't want to hear about the household expenses. Her voice did not rise. She had decided before she made this call that she would not raise her voice. You will repay what you took, all of it. Marcus and I are going to sit down and go through the numbers, and you are going to repay it. That is not a request. Another silence. And the phone, Nadia said. You took her phone when she left, a 67-year-old woman. You left her with nothing. She heard Claudette draw a breath, and then release it, and then say nothing. I hope, Nadia said carefully, that one day you understand what you did. I genuinely hope that, because I don't think you're a monster. I think you made choices, and then you made more choices to cover the first ones, and somewhere along the way you forgot that there was a person at the center of all of it. A person who worked her whole life, who never asked for anything, who only ever said everything is fine. She ended the call. She sat in the parking lot for another 10 minutes before she trusted herself to go back inside. Mama Lorette was discharged on a Thursday morning. Nadia had spent the previous 2 days finding a furnished apartment on Danforth, close enough to the hospital that the doctor who would see her for follow-up appointments was only a short bus ride away. Close enough that Nadia, who had already started conversations with her company about a transfer to the Toronto office, could visit every day if she wanted to. The apartment had a window that faced a small park. Mama Lorette stood at the window the first morning and watched a pair of chickadees on the bare branch of a maple tree and did not say anything for a long time. Do you like it? Nadia asked. It's quiet, Mama Lorette said. I like quiet. Nadia had bought groceries the day before. Proper groceries. The specific things she remembered from childhood. The brands her mother preferred, the vegetables she knew how to cook. She had stocked the bathroom with everything Mama Lorette would need, and she had put a brand new phone on the kitchen table with Nadia's number already in it, and Marcus's number, and the number of the pharmacy on the corner, and the doctor's office. Mama Lorette picked up the phone and turned it over in her hands. You know what the worst part was, she said. not looking up from the phone. It wasn't being cold. I've been cold before. It wasn't being hungry. She paused. It was thinking that everyone knew where I was and nobody came, that I had become the kind of person nobody comes for. Nadia sat down at the kitchen table. I didn't know, she said. Mama, I swear to you, I didn't know. Mama Lorette looked at her daughter for a long moment. Then she nodded, once, slowly. The kind of nod that is also a decision. The kind that says I choose to believe you even when the question still lives somewhere inside. I know you didn't, she said finally. That's the part I had to make peace with. That you can love someone with your whole heart and still not know. Marcus came that Sunday. He brought doubles from a place on Western Road that Mama Lorette had loved since the 90s, wrapped in foil, still warm. He sat across from his mother at the small kitchen table, and he did not try to explain himself immediately. He just opened the foil and put the food in front of her and sat with her while she ate. And then, after a while, he talked. He told her everything he should have told her a year ago. He said the things that are hardest to say, which are not "I'm sorry." That part is easy, but rather here is exactly what I did and did not do, and I am not going to ask you to make it easier for me to say it. Mama Lorette listened. She ate her doubles. When he was finished, she reached across the table and put her hand over his. You are my son, she said. You are always going to be my son. That was all she said. Marcus pressed his lips together and looked at the window and nodded. The transfer to the Toronto office was confirmed 6 weeks later. Nadia gave up the apartment with the view of the inlet without much ceremony. She had loved Vancouver. She did not regret the years she had spent there. But there is a difference between a place you built a life and a place that is your life. And she had spent 14 years confusing the two. She moved into a place on Danforth, 8 minutes walk from her mother's apartment. They had Sunday dinners now, real ones, at a table, not through a phone screen. Mama Lorette cooked jerk chicken the way she had always cooked it, low and slow with the Scotch bonnet. And Nadia brought wine she had learned to like in Vancouver. And Marcus brought his sons who were loud and sweet, and still young enough to think their grandmother was the most interesting person in any room, which she was. Sometimes, in the middle of dinner, Nadia would look at her mother, really look at her, the way you look at something you came close to losing, and she would feel a complicated tangle of things she did not have words for. Gratitude, grief, something like fury still at the edges, something like wonder that they had found their way back to this table. She never told her mother about the 3 loonies in the paper cup. She did not need to. Mama Lorette had been there. She knew. What Nadia did tell her, on one of those Sunday evenings when the chicken was done and the wine was poured, and Marcus and the boys were washing up in the kitchen, and they were alone for a moment, in the way that moments like that sometimes open up in the middle of ordinary things. What she told her was this: I thought sending money meant I was taking care of you. I thought if the transfer went through, then I had done what I was supposed to do. I didn't understand that being there is different from sending proof that you thought about it. Mama Lorette was quiet for a moment. Then she said, You understand now. Yes, Nadia said. Then it wasn't for nothing. Outside the window, the maple tree on the park was beginning to bud. The chickadees were back, or different chickadees, or it did not matter which. Spring in Toronto comes slowly, and then all at once. And when it comes, it has the particular quality of something earned, something you waited through the cold for, something that means more because of everything that came before it. Mama Lorette picked up her glass. Nadia picked up hers. They did not say anything else. They did not need to. Some things do not need words when the people who need to understand them are finally in the same room.